I'm delighted to be joined by Kildare under-20 manager Brian Flanagan ahead of the Airgrid under-20 All-Ireland Championship final, which is taking place this Saturday. Airgrid, the state-owned company charged with delivering a cleaner energy future through the minute-by-minute management of Ireland's electricity grid, have been proud partners of the GA since 2015. Brian Flanagan, thanks for joining me. All-Ireland final this Saturday, 1:30, Kildare versus Sligo. How are preparations going?
Preparations are going very well, Aisling. The lads are enjoying the week. There's a nice calm focus to them. I suppose the beauty of a championship that's week after week is that you just get into a routine and it doesn't matter what the next game is, you just prepare in the normal way. So you recover from the previous effort. That takes a couple of days. You don't do a huge amount on the pitch and you very much just get focused on the next game. And that's the way this week has gone for us. And
there must be a lot of excitement there too.
There is, yeah. Like, obviously you don't want to dampen that down too much, but at the same time, there is genuinely a calm focus from these lads. They're that type of a group, you know, even though it's under 20, I would see them as quite a mature bunch, quite an ambitious bunch, and they're no different to Sligo. I think we're exactly where we plan to be. You know, this isn't necessarily a shock or a surprise to the system. You look at Sligo and the way they've obviously backed up their Connacht title. They've had good success with the Summerhill schools team making the Hogan Cup final. They won a minor a couple of years ago. So this is another layer to their success and another step along the road, and no different for Kildare. So no, very much enjoying the week.
And you had a pretty dramatic semi-final to a very strong down team. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's a game that probably could have went either way. Didn't, you know, you never planned to give a 1-3 to no score lead to any opposition, but that's the way it panned out. I wasn't necessarily that worried on the sideline because I felt we were playing quite well, just not converting our chances. And Down, on the other hand, were ruthlessly efficient in that first half, scored their 1-4 from, I think, 7 shots, whereas we had 14 shots, but only got 4 points on the board. So just a matter of fixing that, staying nice and calm, getting the ball to the shooters and you know, just putting the thing over the bar. Very simple. But going down the home stretch, you know, it's all even. And at that stage, it was more about guts and heart and character and, you know, who could hold their nerve. And I suppose we were lucky enough to be the team that did that.
Yeah, a 1-point win in the end. And that point coming in added time. And it was from a wing back, Jack McKevitt. So, yeah, unbelievable from him to be able to do that while it's in the melting pot, really.
Yeah, it was. And I suppose it got that late into injury time that I would have been nervous initially if we got the shot off too early, to be honest, because we went up, there was 4 minutes to be played. I think we took possession in around the 3-minute mark. So we had a minute to try and get a shot off. But if you rushed that, whether it went over, even if it did go over the bar, they still had an opportunity to come down and attack you at that stage. And we were very conscious of how dangerous Down were of kickouts. I think they scored 2-2 from kickouts the last end. Throughout this championship, they've been very effective because I suppose Oran Murdoch at midfield is such a handful. They've very strong runners on the wing. And you know, if you did get that shot off too early, then they had that opportunity. But by holding possession, holding it right to the very end, by the time Jack pulled the trigger, I think it was bang on the 4-minute mark. So I kind of knew in the moment, I said, there's no way the rest playing beyond this. I think it's game up here and we've won.
Yeah, I thought a lot of people were thinking it was probably going to go to extra time, but yeah, Jack did so well to hold his nerve there. And I suppose how important do you find for a county to build culture of success underage will have that knock-on effect then, like come senior level or even just all over the county in Kildare?
Yeah, I think it develops a brilliant mindset. You know, it certainly develops a culture of winning that you would hope will filter into the senior team over the next couple of years. And these fellas are ambitious, you know, ambitious about what they can achieve, and they've plenty of self-belief, but in a very humble kind of way. They work very hard, they train very hard, they prepare very well. And I think, you know, we're not beating too many teams by cricket scores or anything like that. We're having to grind out these results, such as obviously Dublin going to extra time, Down a 1-point game at the very end. But there's great character in the group. There's great heart, there's great self-belief, and that consistency now in success means that no matter what team these lads are on, or, you know, every time, certainly when they come together as a Kildare team, whether it's schools level, underage, and hopefully into senior, they're ambitious about what they can achieve and they expect to win whatever they go into. So no, I think that's definitely a positive for Kildare going forward.
Yeah, and a lot of the time it's not always the case that we see under 20 players making an impact immediately onto the senior setup. I think nowadays especially it looks to take maybe a few years, and sometimes some may never make that jump. Do you think it's important to, I suppose, keep them playing and developing their skills now that they do make that jump at the right time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kildare people need to be patient with this group over the next 2 or 3 years because, as you said, it is a huge step up to senior football. I know under 20 is the last grade, but previously at under 21, you had that extra 12 months. And I think between 18 and 22, you're in that final step of physical development and everything else in most young men. And for them to go into senior intercounty, you know, it's more than just a step up in football in terms. It's a step up in physicality. It's a step up in the pace of the game. It's a longer game. It really is. It's not something that just, you know, very, very few lads now are going to be able to go straight from under 20 into senior, certainly the latter stages of senior championship next year. So we need to be patient. They're a talented bunch, and I do expect plenty of them to be given the opportunity over the next few years, but it's up to them then what they make of it. And there's a lot to that, I think. So we just need to help them as much as we can, but be patient in Kildare.
Yeah, Brian, you've been there as a player. So, you know, do you think that helps when you're speaking to the lads and you can offer your experience?
Certainly, you do your best to try and help them along the way, Aisling, and guide them as best you can, advise them in whatever area you can. But like I said, I would have no major concerns about these fellas that they want to keep this going, you know, that they want to bring what they've been doing at underage and schools level into the senior setup over the next few years. And yeah, the lads need help in so many different ways at this age, you know, around college, around career, around you know, the social aspect of things, and then their football on top of that, obviously. So if we can just keep these lads going in the direction that they're going, be patient with them, help them every step of the way, I think they'll be a huge help and benefit to the Kildare senior team over the next few years.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like this age in particular, there's a lot going on for a young person in their life, and I'm sure as a manager, that's something you really have to be aware of all the time.
Yeah, it is, particularly at this age. You know, it's a real, it's at that point of your life where there's an awful lot happening, an awful lot changing. They're finishing out their leaving cert. They're trying to figure out with CAO forms, will I go to UCD, DCU, Maynooth? They've a lot of things being offered to them. There's the pressure, obviously, of sitting them exams. We've had quite a few lads sitting exams today and matches in the last couple of weeks. So there's a lot going on, and I think you just need to be quite understanding of that, quite accepting of that with the under 20s, and we try to be that and try to be I suppose a support for these fellas, that they feel free and open to come and chat to us about anything that they want to chat to us about. And we've definitely developed that kind of relationship with these boys over the last few years.
That's good to hear. And overall, Brian, are you enjoying management?
Of course, yeah. You know, there's so much goes into it and everything else, Ashing, and so much time given up that you'd have to enjoy it. And I certainly do. You know, it's a challenge, a big challenge. And but you know, any minute I put into these lads or Kildare football, I never regret. You know what I mean? It's just something that you love. It's a passion that you have. It's an enthusiasm you have for football in Kildare. And when you have a group like this and a bunch like this that give you so much back, it makes it all worthwhile.
Just looking back at the team then, win a back-to-back Leinster title, that was probably a big one at the start of the year for you. I'm sure it was a bit of a target for you, and that hadn't been done for a Kildare team at under 20 or under 21 grade since I think it was the 1960s. So that must have been massive for you as a group.
Yeah, it was certainly something that we spoke about early on in the year, if I'm being honest, because we felt it was important to reference it. Now, we never, you know, it wasn't something that was spoken about in every session or every week or anything like that, but we did drop it in here and there just so they knew that there was something more here. And we spoke about Kildare football being consistent, and that consistency of success, I felt, was going to be very important. There was a new challenge. You know, we've probably 22 new fellas on the squad this year, so they weren't necessarily a part of winning Leinster last year, so it was new for them. But for the fellas who were there and for the group overall, we felt going back to back would show that Kildare football, didn't just have to be successful once every 5 years and then drift away. We could do it back to back. You know, we could be consistent. We could challenge at the top table year after year. And I would expect that to keep going over the next few years.
How many of the panel, Brian, were on the All-Ireland finalist team last year?
I think we've 6 starters, Aisling. There's a couple of other lads, like we've injuries to Luke Killian. He pulled his hamstring against Louth, so he'll be out. Darius Swords hasn't played a huge amount this year due to hamstring injuries. But yeah, I think it's 6 starters, 6 or 7 starters at the most. And
that's brilliant to have that, like that experience at that level. That's obviously a major plus.
Yeah, it definitely helps, I suppose, in terms of maybe that composure that I've spoken about this week, that I sense a real calmness about the lads. They're looking forward to Saturday, but they're very much doing it and keeping their eye on the ball of what we're trying to achieve. And those lads are maybe looking back at last year. I'm sure there's hurt there from losing the final to Tyrone. Yeah, there was hurt in the aftermath, in the hours and the days after that game last year. But I think that certainly for the boys who were underage again, I got a sense that it turned very quickly to just a want and a desire to get back here and put things right. And you know, my 2 years was up last year, and that was a big part of why I came back. Was I had a conversation with a couple of them. I was like, right, these lads really want to go one step further, and I wanted to go one step further. So we're back there now. We've given ourselves that opportunity to do it. But Sligo are a hell of a team. You just have to look at their track record. They've beaten Roscommon, Mayo, Galway and Kerry. That's a team that are in an All-Ireland final on merit. They have some fantastic young footballers, as good as I've seen in this under-20 championship. So it's a massive challenge, but one that we're relishing at the minute. Yeah, what can you expect from Sligo? There is quite a buzz around Sligo and Sligo football at the minute. There is, yeah. I think they've an awful lot going on, an awful lot of positive things happening in Sligo, between their senior team getting promoted from Division 4, you know, the Summerhill Schools team making the Hogan Cup final, and they've gone back to back with under-20 provincials on top of a minor success a couple of years ago. So that layering of success is very much in place in Sligo. So this isn't a surprise, you know, Sligo being in an All-Ireland final. This isn't a flash in the pan by any means. There's obviously huge work has gone on at underage development squads and schools level to bring these fellas through. And, you know, I'm looking at footballers like, you know, Luke Marin, excellent footballer, really, really top quality inside forward. Darrow Boyle, you know, Canis Mulligan, albeit, you know, he took the knock the last day, but certainly these are footballers that you'll be hearing a lot more of in a senior jersey over the next couple of years. And what would it mean to you and to the group to be able to go on and to win it? It mean a huge amount. You know, ultimately you're fulfilling that goal and that ambition that you set out at the start of the year, or probably, to be honest, set out 3 years ago, Aisling, to do. And yeah, we're there now. We have the opportunity. I think it'd be great for the county. I think it'd be great for this group, but we have to put in one more massive performance, probably our biggest performance of the year, in order to get over the line. So we're very much focused on doing that at the minute. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of support then heading to Kingspan Breffni Park. Yeah, there should be a cracking atmosphere. I think it's quite a novel pairing when you've Kildare and Sligo in an All-Ireland final, and the weather looks good. You know, Breffni's a nice stadium, everything else. So I think there should be a really good atmosphere, and just really looking forward to the day. Brilliant, Brian. Well, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it, and the best of luck with the weekend. No problem. Thanks, Aisling.